Silent letters have always been a headache for all of us, and honestly, they're just plain confusing. Why does wrist need W or island have an S that no one says? These silent letters have quietly slipped into our words and have haunted English for centuries. But don't worry, we're about to dig into their mysterious past and make it all make sense. Let's start simple. Well, we all know what these silent letters are. They are like that one friend in the group who never talks but shows up in every photo. They're the letters that are written but not pronounced, such as knife, psychic, subtle, where letters just hang around. Now, not all silent letters are useless. Like the silent E in rate versus rat, that dude changes the whole vibe. But mostly, they're just leftovers from language changes over time, like tiny crumbs from the messy way people used to speak. But you all might wonder, how did silent letters sneak into English? Here's where it gets juicy. It all started with Old English. Back when English was a mix of different German-like languages, and people used to say every letter. So night sounded like Kutnicht, with a strong K and sound. Then came the French. Suddenly, Quen from Old English became Reina in French. And we eventually made it Queen, because that's just how English works sometimes. They also brought along their love for silent letters. Words like debt and doubt used to be det and doubt. But some geniuses thought, hey, let's show off our Latin knowledge, and decided to throw in silent B to make them look more like their root Latin word debitum, which means something owed. Well, that's how English likes to complicate things. And yes, silent letters were once a flex. And when the printing press arrived in England in the 15th century, it was like giving a toddler a megaphone. Suddenly, everyone wanted to publish something. And the fun part is that there was no such thing as standardized spelling. Even William Caxton, who brought the printing press to England, hired typesetters from the Netherlands. The only problem in this whole process was that they didn't really know English, so they kind of just guessed. Sometimes they added extra letters just to make the lines look nice on the page. Ever wondered why Ghost has an H? Thank a Dutch typesetter messing around like it's a game of Scrabble. At this point, you might be thinking, why didn't we just fix it? But the truth is, back in the 1700s and 1800s, people tried to fix English spelling. That was the period when reformers like Noah Webster stepped in. He aimed to simplify things by dropping extra letters, giving us color instead of color and honor instead of honor. But the real problem was that everyone had their own ideas about what spelling should look like. Some wanted it to be logical, some wanted to preserve historical roots, and others seemed to thrive on the chaos. And the British, they scoffed at the idea of reform, holding on to the U in words like color just to annoy the Americans. By the time people realized silent letters were just clutter, they had already made their way into textbooks, school exams, and everywhere. But one thing to think is, are silent letters completely useless? Surprisingly, not always. Not all silent letters are just there for decoration. Some actually help with meaning, pronunciation, or word origins. For example, take homophones, words that sound the same but have different meanings. Night and night sound identical, but the K in night helps us understand it refers to a warrior, while night is simply the time of day. Some silent letters connect words to their roots. Take the B in doubt. It connects to dubious, which means uncertain or skeptical. Even though we don't pronounce the B, it helps show the connection between the two words. One of the most famous letter tricks in English is the silent E at the end of words. It changes the vowel sound. For instance, look at hop versus hope. The silent E at the end of hope makes the O long, completely changing the word. It's like a little signal that helps us know how to say the word. But it's not just about meaning. Pronunciation can also vary by dialects and accents. Take herb. In American English, they often drop the H and say herb. But in British English, they keep the H and pronounce it herb. So, even though it's technically a silent letter in both versions, it's not always silent depending on where you're from. Yes, we can't even agree on how to say plants. So, will English ever get rid of silent letters? Short answer, no. Long answer, no, because English is spoken all over the world. And with that comes a huge variety of accents, dialects, and regional quirks. What sounds correct in one place might be different in another. Reforming the spelling would be a huge challenge because it's tied to identity, education, and history. So changing it would affect everything, from books to databases, to your grandma's recipe cards. And let's face it, there's also a certain charm to the messiness of English. Silent letters are part of what makes English feel mysterious. Like how boring the word psychologist would be if we spelled it psychologist. It loses all of its personality and intrigue. Silent letters give the language a bit of drama and uniqueness. So whenever a silent letter irritates you, just remember, silent letters are like ghosts of English past. Strange, clingy, and hard to shake off. But now you know their backstory. So, what do you think? What's your least favorite silent letter mystery? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Stay curious and remember, it's not you. It's English.